There's a story that goes from the Holocaust that when the Nazis they came to invade Hungary, and Hungary was like towards the end of the war, and the Germans, at least most of them, were more interested in winning the war against Russia than with killing Jews. That more interested them, and without Hitler knowing or knowing whatever, they were willing to make types of bargains for blood for money. So they were going around to the Jewish villages in Hungary and telling them that if you get us enough ransom money, we'll spare you. In cases they did it when the Jewish communities were able to bring ransom money, but in the most cases the German officers were corrupt and they took the bribe money and still killed the Jews. So in one instance they came to a village in Hungary and they approached the Rav, the rabbi of the village, and they told him their offer, that we'll spare the whole village, but you have to bring us this huge amount of money until like for another week, a week's time or something like that. So the Rav worked supernatural force above his nature and somehow made contacts out of Hungary and got that amount of money together. And a week later, the German officers, they came, like they told him they would come back. It was in the middle of the winter. And before they arrived to his house to pick up the money, the Rav was informed that these were corrupt officers and they're planning anyways to kill the Jewish community. So when the officers entered his house, the Rav stood with the whole stack of money in his hand, and he said, and he stood next to the furnace heating up his house, and he said to them like this. He said, it's not enough that you want to kill us, but you want us to pay you for killing us. And with that he took all the money and he threw it into the fire. What happened was whatever happened. But there's an amazing point to this story, is that this is exactly how the yeitzer works in life. He wants you willingly to sign off your life for despair and futility and giving up. How he works is he's very sly. Before bringing you down, he convinces you why it's good and it's okay and acceptable to be down. Like for example, a person wakes up late, so yeitzer will help him justify it's okay, it's only once and everything, and then it happens another time, again it's not that bad, and then happens for a few years, and the yeitzer tells him that you're getting old anyways, this is the way of the world, it's acceptable that you get squeaky and heavy and tired and drained. And like this, yeitzer is able to convince a person more and more and more to fall into his trap. But there reaches a point where it's so absurd and so clear that it's a sheker, that it's such falsehood that a person is living in. He sees where he is and where he wants to be, and it's totally worlds apart. And he sees that he's been gypped for the past while by the yeitzer. And when this normally happens to the person fights back at full force, and he says, this I don't accept. You yeitzer, you're convincing me to live a life of falsehood, a life of sleeping mode, and not to be awake to the real reality. I disagree with this. And normally when that happens, a person he breaks through and he makes that statement, that movement forward to illustrate, whether to himself, to Hashem, that I don't accept with how I am, I don't accept the situation, and I want to come closer to Hashem. Enough is enough, I want to break through. And this, Rabbi Nachman teaches, is what's called boldness of holiness. Azut Kedusha. Boldness is needed to come close to Hashem. Rabbi Nachman teaches, just like brazenness, which is not a good attribute, where a person has chutzpah, where a person has azut metzach, it's called, where he's brazen-faced and he's not afraid of anybody, doesn't have any holy shame. Just like that is a bad attribute, and it says that anybody who has this type of shamelessness and lack of shame, holy shame, so he should know that his ancestors did not stand at Har Sinai. In other words, he doesn't have pure Jewish ancestry, and he's not a part of the Torah, of the receiving of the Torah. so too Rabbi Nachman teaches that to be the opposite, to have boldness of holiness, you need that in order to receive the Torah. To be a chicken attitude, to be like a wimp, a nerd, and quiet and very passive and afraid, you will never make that jump to enter the world of the Torah. That's what's needed in order to come close. You need azut, like we say in Ethics of Our Fathers, hevi'az kanamer. You have to be bold as a leopard, right? And like it says in the Gemara, that the Torah was given to the Jewish people because they have azut, they're azim, they're bold. So you see, it's a trick, it's a catch-22. On one hand, I can't have this shamelessness, which also is a forward movement of force and toughness, etc. But on the other hand, I need boldness of holiness to go forward. Where's the fine line? Where is it boldness? Where is it not? When do I put my foot forward? Because we also see that there are times you have to have holy shame. That means a type of refrainment. So it's a thing in life that Rav Nosson explains that only davening will get you there, and also coupled with learning the teachings of the tzaddikim, who infuse a person with this awareness of where to put the boldness and where not to. But again, the point is that this force movement is what's needed to come close to Hashem, to come to the Torah. And in most instances, it comes out of a person when they've been so ripped off, gypped by the yeitzer and living such a fake life, and the person becomes aware that I'm so opposite, diametrically opposed to where I wanted to be in the beginning of my pursuit of Judaism and the Torah and Hashem, and look where I am now, a potbelly, sleeping in, lack of energy and a lack of simcha, lack of connection to Hashem. What is this? This is not what I want. And at that point, a person fights back full force.